You watch your diet, try to do the right thing. Maybe you've even cut out fried foods, reduce sugar, try to eat more salads. But even so, you feel that persistent weakness, that sensation that your body is losing strength without you understanding why. You climb a flight of stairs and your legs feel heavier than they should. You carry a grocery bag and feel like your arms don't have the same resistance as before. And the scariest part is that no one talks about it. Your doctor looks at your tests, says your cholesterol is a bit high, that your liver has a little fat, and tells you to drink more water and walk. But no one tells you that there's a specific food, a food that most people consume every day without suspicion, that is silently eroding your muscles from the inside, while at the same time sinking your liver deeper and deeper into a devastating inflammatory process. And the worst part is that this food doesn't even taste bad. It doesn't seem dangerous. Sometimes it even seems healthy. It's on the shelves of supermarkets with colorful packaging, with promises of energy and convenience. It's in kids' lunch boxes on the breakfast table, for afternoon snacks, in quick dinners after a long day. And while you consume it thinking you're nourishing your body, it's doing the exact opposite. It's stealing your muscle mass, overloading your liver, and creating a metabolic cycle so pernicious that without the right information, it's almost impossible to break free. But today, that changes. Because in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what this food is, how it affects your liver and your muscles simultaneously, and what you can do starting today to reverse this process. Stay until the end, because the information I'm about to share could literally change the trajectory of your health. I'm a doctor specializing in liver diseases, with years of experience following patients who come to my office without understanding why their bodies are failing, why their tests are getting worse even with effort, why their livers continue to accumulate fat without them drinking alcohol. And throughout this journey, one thing has become increasingly clear to me. Most of the suffering my patients face could have been avoided if they had had access to the correct information at the right time. That's why I'm here. That's why I created this space, because life-saving information shouldn't be confined to the doctor's office. If you've made it this far, it's because you're truly committed to your health, and that makes me very happy. I created this channel precisely for people like you who don't just want to be told they have fatty liver and that's it, who want to understand what's happening, who want real solutions, who want to regain their health with quality information. Every week, I bring you content based on the latest research, things that many doctors don't yet know or don't have time to explain in a 15-minute consultation. Subscribe to the channel now and activate the notification bell, because I'm going to guide you on this journey of recovery for your liver and your entire body. You're not alone in this, and together we'll turn this around. Your health deserves attention, deserves care, and deserves the truth. Now, before I reveal exactly what this food is, I need to tell you something that will help you understand the seriousness of the problem. A study published in 2023 in the Journal of Hepatology showed that patients with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, meaning fatty liver without alcohol consumption, experience significantly accelerated muscle mass loss compared to healthy individuals. We're not talking about a small, imperceptible loss. We're talking about a loss that compromises mobility, quality of life, and the ability to perform simple daily activities. And what's most intriguing about this research is that it identified a common mechanism between the accumulation of fat in the liver and muscle degradation, a mechanism that involves a specific hormone, a specific inflammatory process, and a specific dietary culprit. I'll explain all of this to you calmly, but first, I want you to understand the story of someone who lived exactly what you might be living now. Mark was 52 years old when he first came to my office. He was a strong, hard-working man who had spent his entire life in construction, lifting heavy things, doing physical labor, never worrying too much about his body because his body always responded well. But in the last 2 years, something had changed. He noticed he was getting weaker, his legs tired faster, his belly was growing even though he wasn't eating more than he always had. His wife had insisted he see a doctor, and the doctor ordered an ultrasound that showed grade 2 fatty liver, with a TGP of 72 units per liter, almost double the reference value. The doctor told him to lose weight and come back in 6 months. Mark left the office understanding nothing of what had happened, not knowing what to eat, what to avoid, not understanding why he was losing strength when he ate well, or at least thought he ate well. When he described his diet to me, I immediately recognized the problem. Every single day without fail, Mark consumed that food. At breakfast, sometimes at lunch, almost always at dinner. And this food was doing exactly what science describes, inflaming the liver and eroding muscles at the same time. Now I need to ask you a question, and I want you to be completely honest with me, because your answer can help thousands of people watching this video right now. When you found out you had fatty liver, or when you started to notice you were losing strength and your body wasn't responding like it used to, what was the first feeling that came? Was it despair? Was it that feeling that you were aging too fast, that your body was abandoning you, that no matter how hard you tried, you weren't getting better? I know how heavy it is to carry that in silence, to keep working, keep taking care of your family, keep smiling, while inside you're worried, scared, and don't know what to do. So I want you to comment below right now. Use these words if you wish. I have fatty liver and I'm losing strength without understanding why. Don't be ashamed. Don't feel judged. This is a safe space. And when you comment, you're showing other people that they're not alone. You're creating a chain of support and strength. I read every comment and your story matters. Your struggle matters. The food I'm talking about is industrial fructose, specifically high fructose corn syrup, which is present in practically every ultra-processed food we consume in the United States and around the world. But wait, because this isn't simply a matter of sugar being bad. This goes much deeper than that, and I'm going to explain the mechanism with a clarity that probably no one has ever explained it to you before. Fructose, unlike glucose, isn't metabolized in a distributed way by the body. It goes almost exclusively to the liver. When you consume a small amount of fructose from a whole fruit with fiber, with vitamins, the liver can process it without any problem. But when you consume industrial fructose in large quantities in the form of soda, juice boxes, cream-filled cookies, processed tomato sauce, pre-made seasoning mixes, or sweetened yogurt, the liver receives an avalanche of fructose that it simply cannot process healthily. And what does it do with that excess? It converts it into fat. Fat that accumulates inside the liver cells, which inflame the tissue, which elevate TGO and TGP enzymes, which over time can evolve into steatohepatitis, fibrosis, and in the most severe cases, cirrhosis. But the liver doesn't suffer alone in this process. When the liver is overloaded with fructose and begins to accumulate fat, it releases inflammatory signals that circulate through the blood and reach the muscles. These signals, called pro-inflammatory cytokines, especially TNF-alpha and interleukin-6, activate a process called muscle proteolysis, which is nothing more than the breakdown of muscle protein. In other words, your own body starts breaking down muscle tissue to try to deal with the systemic inflammation coming from the overloaded liver. And this explains why so many patients with fatty liver feel weak, lose muscle mass, get wobbly legs, feel heavy even when doing nothing different. It's not being fussy. It's not lack of exercise. It's biology. It's a process that science has already documented, and that needs to be combated with the right strategy. There's still a third element in this equation that makes everything even more complicated, and that element is insulin resistance. When the liver accumulates fat and becomes inflamed, it starts to resist the action of insulin, the hormone that carries glucose into the cells. With insulin resistance, the pancreas needs to produce more and more insulin to try to compensate, and the excess insulin in the blood creates a hormonal environment that further favors fat accumulation, both in the liver and in abdominal tissue, and which at the same time inhibits the synthesis of new muscle proteins. In other words, you get trapped in a vicious cycle. Industrial fructose overloads the liver becomes inflamed and creates insulin resistance. Insulin resistance prevents muscle building and favors more fat accumulation, and this cycle spins and spins until someone interrupts it with information and concrete action. If you have fatty liver, hit that like button now, because this content was made for you, and the like helps this video reach more people who need this information. Let me tell you about Fernanda, a 47-year-old patient who came to the office after 3 years of trying to lose weight without success. She dieted, she walked every day, she avoided fried food, she drank tea, she did everything the internet told her to do. But the weight wouldn't budge, her belly wouldn't shrink, and her tests continued to show elevated TGP, a hyperechogenic liver on ultrasound, and fasting blood sugar in the low hundreds. She was frustrated, upset, no longer believing in anything. When I analyzed her food diary, the cause became crystal clear. Fernanda consumed juice boxes every day for breakfast, thinking it was healthy because the packaging said 100% juice. She ate fruit-flavored yogurt for a snack, thinking it was light because it had low fat content. She used processed tomato sauce for lunch, pre-made seasoning mixes for dinner, and sometimes tapioca crackers in the afternoon, because tapioca crackers seem harmless. Each of these foods contained high fructose corn syrup. Together, they represented a daily load of industrial fructose that kept her liver in constant overload, the inflammation constantly active, and the vicious cycle spinning nonstop. When I explained this to her, her eyes filled with tears. She said, "But I was trying to take care of myself." And she was, in the way she knew how. The problem wasn't a lack of effort, it was a lack of information. Comment below if you've tried to reverse fatty liver and couldn't, because you might be going through exactly what Fernanda went through, working hard in the wrong direction without knowing it. Now, I want to tell you about what happens when you remove this food from your routine and what science shows about the speed of liver recovery. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition followed adults with fatty liver who completely eliminated industrial high fructose corn syrup from their diet for 8 weeks without doing anything else. No medication, no intense exercise, just this change. After this period, ultrasound showed a measurable reduction in liver echogenicity, meaning the liver began to eliminate fat. TGP and TGO enzymes dropped by an average of 35%. Insulin resistance decreased, and patients subjectively reported more energy, less abdominal bloating, and improved muscle strength. 8 weeks, just by removing this ingredient. This doesn't mean your diet can be neglected in all other aspects, but it shows the immense power this specific change has on liver metabolism. Marcos, that construction worker I told you about before, returned to the office 3 months after making the changes I'm going to teach you now. The ultrasound still showed fatty liver, but grade 1, it had regressed. His TGP had dropped from 72 to 38. He said he felt stronger, that his legs had started responding again, that he could work all day without that devastating fatigue he used to feel. It wasn't a miracle cure, it was applied science, and it was him finally understanding the mechanism behind the problem and acting surgically to stop it. Now, I want to give you the practical protocol, what you can do starting today, step by step, to protect your liver and stop losing muscle mass because of this silent enemy. The first step is to identify and eliminate the hidden sources of industrial fructose from your diet. And when I say hidden sources, I'm not just talking about soda, which most people already know is bad for you. I'm talking about foods that look healthy, but have hidden high fructose corn syrup lurking on the label. You need to learn to read the ingredients on everything you buy. Look for terms like glucose fructose syrup, high fructose corn syrup, crystalline fructose, processed agave syrup, fructose rice syrup. These names pop up in juice boxes, sweetened yogurts, processed sauces, sandwich bread, cookies, granola bars, energy drinks, pre-made spice mixes, mayonnaise, ketchup, and sodas of all kinds. The ingredient list is your first line of defense, and you need to read it carefully before anything goes into your grocery cart. The second step is to swap out refined carbohydrate sources for low-glycemic, high-fiber carbs. When you consume slow-digesting carbohydrates, glucose is released into your bloodstream gradually, your insulin response is moderate, and your liver doesn't get that avalanche of substrates, it will convert into fat. Think whole wheat pasta instead of white pasta, sweet potatoes instead of regular potatoes, a variety of vegetables instead of white bread, whole fruits with skin and pulp instead of juices, because the fiber in whole fruit completely changes how the natural fructose in the fruit is absorbed and metabolized. This doesn't mean you can never have white pasta again. It means the foundation of your diet should prioritize foods that respect your liver's metabolic rhythm. The third step, and this is the one most people forget, is to ensure adequate intake of quality protein. When your liver is inflamed and insulin resistance has set in, your body struggles to build muscle, even if you exercise. To break this cycle, you need to provide your body with the amino acids necessary for muscle protein synthesis, and you need to do it in quantities that compensate for the accelerated protein breakdown happening due to inflammation. The current recommendation for patients with fatty liver disease and muscle loss is 2 to 1. 5 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day. This means a 180-pound person needs to consume between 96 and 120 grams of protein daily. Ideal sources include whole eggs, skinless chicken, fish, especially sardines and salmon for their anti-inflammatory omega-3s, lean red meat in moderation, and legumes like lentils and chickpeas for those who prefer plant-based options. Adequate protein won't cure your liver, but it will protect your muscles while your liver recovers. The fourth step is movement, but a specific kind of movement. The latest research on fatty liver disease and sarcopenia, the technical term for muscle loss, shows that a combination of moderate intensity aerobic exercise and resistance training has a powerful synergistic effect on both issues simultaneously. Aerobic exercise, like brisk walking, cycling, or swimming for 30 minutes 5 times a week, improves insulin sensitivity and helps your liver oxidize accumulated fat. Resistance training, like weightlifting, body weight exercises, or using resistance bands, stimulates muscle protein synthesis and releases myokines, which are hormones produced by muscles that have a direct anti-inflammatory effect on the liver. You don't need to be an athlete. You don't need a fancy gym. You need consistency and the right kind of stimulus. Comment below with your TGO and TGP levels, because that helps me better understand your profile and create content that's even more tailored to your reality. I get a lot of questions about liver supplements, so I'll answer the most common ones here. Silymarin, extracted from milk thistle, has reasonable evidence for its anti-inflammatory liver effects and can be used as an adjunct supplement, but never as a substitute for dietary changes. Vitamin E at specific doses has been studied for non-alcoholic steatohepatitis with positive results, but its use should be guided by a doctor because excessive amounts can have adverse effects. Omega-3 from quality fish oil has solid evidence for reducing liver triglycerides and systemic anti-inflammatory effects and can be a very useful addition to the protocol, especially for patients who can't eat fish frequently. Choline is a nutrient directly involved in transporting fat out of the liver, and its deficiency is associated with the development of fatty liver. Rich sources of choline include eggs, beef liver, and legumes. No supplement works if your diet continues to deliver industrial fructose to your liver every day. Supplements enhance a process that needs to start with fundamental dietary choices. Fernanda returned to the office 4 months after making these changes. The transformation was visible in her face even before I saw the test results. She had lost 12 pounds without a restrictive diet, just by making the right food swaps. Her TGP had normalized, dropping from 61 to 28. The ultrasound still showed mild hyperechogenicity, but significantly less. She said, "For the first time in 3 years, I feel like I'm getting better." And the most beautiful part was what she said next. I passed this information on to my 22-year-old daughter, who also drank juice boxes every day, and she changed too. Because fatty liver isn't just a problem for older people. It can develop at any age, especially with today's eating patterns full of ultra-processed foods and industrial fructose. And when you take care of yourself, you also take care of those around you. Share this video with someone you love, because this information can make a real difference in their lives. A question I get very often is, if I already have liver fibrosis, can it still be reversed? And the answer is more hopeful than most people imagine. Fibrosis in the early stages, 1 and 2, absolutely has the potential for reversal with the right changes, especially when combined with proper medical follow-up. Stage 3 fibrosis has more limited reversal, but it's still possible to stabilize and in some cases improve partially. Established cirrhosis, stage 4, cannot be reversed, but even in these cases, it's possible to significantly slow progression and improve quality of life. In other words, regardless of your stage, the changes I've presented today have value. They have impact. They make a difference. What you can't do is do nothing. Another common question is about fruit consumption. I have fatty liver. Can I eat fruit? The answer is yes, but wisely. Whole fruit, with the peel when possible, consumed at the right times, especially before physical activity or right after lunch, is healthy, even for those with this condition. What I advise avoiding is fruit juice, even freshly squeezed, because when you remove the fiber and concentrate the liquid, you significantly increase the fructose load your liver will receive at once. And what about the processed acai with guarana syrup, so popular in Brazil? That should be avoided completely. It's a fructose bomb disguised as a healthy food. Pure acai with no added sugar or syrup in moderation can be included, but the standard acai bowl from franchise chains with sweetened granola, condensed milk, and syrup is one of the worst foods someone with fatty liver can consume. There's also the case of Roberto, a 60-year-old retired patient who discovered fatty liver almost by accident during a routine checkup. His doctor said it was grade 1, mild, and there was no cause for concern as long as he improved his diet. Roberto was relieved and changed practically nothing. 2 years later, the condition was grade 2. Another 2 years, grade 3 with early fibrosis. When he arrived at my office, he was scared, regretful, with that feeling that he should have acted sooner. And this is a reality I see far too often. Mild fatty liver doesn't hurt, it's not bothersome, it doesn't give clear symptoms, and therefore it's treated as something minor. But it's a progressive disease. It advances silently, and when it does give symptoms, it's already past the point where reversal is simple. Roberto regained some liver health with a lot of effort and intensive follow-up. But the time he lost never came back. You don't have to make the same mistake. Fatty liver, regardless of the grade, needs to be taken seriously from the moment it appears on your exam. Let's recap everything you've learned today, because I want you to leave this video with complete clarity on what to do. The silent enemy that corrodes your muscles and sinks your liver at the same time is industrial fructose, present in glucose-fructose syrup, hidden in dozens of ultra-processed foods that seem harmless or even healthy. This ingredient overloads the liver, which converts the excess into fat, inflames the liver tissue, raises AST and ALT levels, creates insulin resistance, releases inflammatory cytokines that reach the muscles and activate muscle protein breakdown. The result is a devastating cycle of fatty liver and muscle mass loss, happening simultaneously, fueled by the same root cause. The solution begins by identifying and eliminating hidden sources of industrial fructose, replacing refined carbohydrates with low glycemic index sources, ensuring adequate protein to protect muscles during the liver recovery process, and combining aerobic exercise with resistance training consistently. Supplements like silymarin, doctor-prescribed vitamin E, omega-3, and choline can enhance the process, but they never replace fundamental changes, and the sooner you act, the greater the chances of complete reversal. If this video helped you, if you learned something that no one had explained to you before, hit the like button now, because this simple gesture helps this channel grow and bring this information to others who are suffering in silence, not knowing what to do, not understanding why their body is failing. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because every week I bring content like this, based on the latest research with practical information you can apply in your life. Turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any new videos, and share this video with someone you love, with that person who complains of fatigue, who has altered lab results, who has fatty liver and doesn't know where to start. You could be saving someone's health today with a simple act of sharing. In the next video, I'll show you the 5 tests that every patient with fatty liver needs to ask their doctor for, and that most people never request. Tests that reveal the true state of the liver long before an ultrasound shows any serious changes, and that can make all the difference in acting preventatively. Don't miss this video. Until then, take care of your liver, because it's taking care of you every day, silently, without complaint, until the moment it can't anymore. That moment doesn't have to arrive. You have the knowledge now. Use it.